some scale and so on. But if I start writing down things that have non-normalizable bits, I have to regulate, and then all those non-normalizable things probably not be irrelevant. But yeah, normally there isn't. You go to dimensions where Q goes to so on irrelevant. Oh, yes, but what if I do this trick? Then it runs in this range, so squared is irrelevant. Okay, then if you do things carefully, you will find that if I put a cutoff, you'll find the right obviously is stable. Right. Okay, so those are the two biggest subjects, and the only ones that really have a lot of equations with them. I mentioned orbitals, and covered the main points. I just wanted to make a couple more points. We're going in the direction of small perturbations of the theory, not the large ones, but not so large. Orbifolding is a fairly conventional way to bang on a theory. So if we have the 6 directions that are transverse to the 3 branes, and if we divide by some, we identify under some subgroup of rotation group, then the origin becomes a singularity, but in a simple way, as a method of images, how this everything works. And so on the supergravity side, on the EDS side, we just take in S5 to S5 mod gamma, and on the CFD, you got some sort of equivocation theory. With ZK, you get, if gamma is ZK, you get, first of all, you get UF, UN to the K in the gauge group, and then you get various bi-fundamental matter charges in different sectors, and the details of the matter depend on, there's different ways for ZK can act on the spatial coordinates and on the fermions, and so you get different kinds of bi-fundamental matter coupled into this group with n equals 2, n equals 1, and as Tom says, n equals 0 supersymmetry. Tom mentioned that in the n equals 0 case, as far as anyone knows, there are no conformal theories that we couple, right? That, you know that we couple data functions, right? I was reading your session, I thought you were talking about what the data functions of the theory do, which is perturbative data functions. No, not in this. There are double phase operators. What happens in coupling is there are double phase operators, right? I actually want to provide a strong coupling counterpoint to that. So, in the case of, again, the amount of supersymmetry can be 2, 1, or 0. In the case of no supersymmetry, you always worry about instabilities, and I want to tell you what they are. So, in the first place, if some non-supersymmetric rotation, some supersymmetric rotation has a fixed point on the phi sphere, there's going to be some tachyon, and the theory will instantly be unstable. What happens generally when you localize tachyons is that some kind of hole forms in the space, and it gets bigger and bigger very fast, and your whole space goes away. You have no gravity side, you also have no gauge theory side. This is the general sickness that non-supersymmetric field theories from coupling are typically unstable. Even when, in a non-supersymmetric case, even when you have no tachyons, even when there are no fixed points of the non-supersymmetric elements, you have the same process non-perturbatively. It's just Witten's decay to nothing, where this hole appears not due to a tachyon rolling out potential, but due to some tunneling process where the whole space tunnels from its original state to this one develops a hole and then grows. So an example is a general phenomenon that the non-supersymmetric theories are unstable. In this case, if you're willing to deal with metastability, and there's no reason that you shouldn't be, by putting some kind of UV cutoff on this space, you can, in the case that it's tunneling stability, you can make the theory hang around for a long time, and ignore talk about duality. Okay, this is what I want to say about orbifold. I want to sort of keep the rest of the story of the non-supersymmetric case. Yes? I want to say yes. The difficulty with orbifolds is that they don't, if you have, in the margin limit, there's an inheritance. And so you basically take, and so in general, in the leading margin limit, anything that happens descends to the orbifold theory. If you have something that depends on the next order direction, then not necessarily. Yeah. Also, unless you orbifold, you have new possibilities because there are operators in different sectors which didn't exist before. But that gives you new possibilities. It doesn't destroy the original solution yet. So one can build new examples by combining RG flows and orbifolds. For the supersymmetric orbifold, you have new operators sitting at the fixed points, and some of them are relevant, and you can imagine turning them on, and now you have some singularity. It can be a whole ring of singularities, and the phi sphere can turn into something like S3 cross S2. So you really can start getting into new topologies. And that's what the counterfold is, and by carrying this, again, it takes some cleverness and some insight about the gauge theory side of duality to figure out where the flow goes to. There are people who have figured this out. And this is a special case of a much more general thing, which is that the field theory, is that on the gravity side, you can replace the S5 with any space, which is an Einstein space, in which the Ricci tensor is some constant, positive constant times the metric, and you still get a solution to Einstein equation with just 5 more fluxes. Actually, once you get another fluxes like 3 more we talked about before, you have more general change. But if you just immediately have the AF5 theory, the 5 more plus in the metric, then you can replace the Einstein space. And if you want supersymmetry, then there's one more condition. It has to be Einstein-Sasaki space, which means that in addition to the Einstein, it has to be Sasaki. Sorry, yeah, not my strong point, but anyway, I need something like that. Actually, so what Michael said is that the small 6-dimensional space that comes over it has to be constant. Yeah, has to be Ricci and also killer. Yeah, it also means that the space has a circle in it, it's harmony in a certain way. Anyway, if I give you that space, and tell you, and you have to give me the gauge theory, there's no obvious machine to do that. And what machine one has is this sort of idea of using the combinations of renormalization group flows, overfolding, going out of the Coulomb branch. And so there's a fairly large industry of figuring out the dictionary, which is most complete in the torus case, where there's a U1 cube symmetry of the space. But in the more general case, where there's not so much symmetry, there aren't so many tools. Okay. So, working pretty well. So the next item on my list was non-conformal brains. So when we had started the whole story, what if we repeat the whole story, not with a D3 brain, but with a D2 brain? So with a D2 brain, we get the same gauge theory reduced to 2 plus 1 dimensions. And in 2 plus 1 dimensions, it's no longer conformal, it's now super normalizable, it's weak at high energy, strong at low energy. And so what we can see is that, well, in the V equals 3 case, we vary the coupling, and in one regime we have the gauge description, in the other regime we have the gravity description here. The energy itself varies the coupling torus. At high energy, we have the gauge theory is the Z direction, which means that energy runs this way. I really don't like that. I really like energy running the other way, but everybody sort of uses Z, so you try to use it anyway. Okay. And so at high energy, you have the gauge theory, that's a good description. Now, what happens and so it's the same kind of story, but again, just with respect to energy, that is the high energy part. So in the gauge theory, high energy is effectively perturbative. As you reduce the energy, it becomes fully coupled. On the geometric side, you have some range of scales where the geometry is good, and as you go to higher energy, it breaks down the same way the D3 brain theory did. That is, the curvature becomes large compared to the string scale, and can no longer be trusted. So when the curvature becomes large in string units, the gauge theory description is a good one. In this case, there's another fun thing that happens, though, because in addition to the curvature of the dilettante, which was constant in the D3 brain solution, the dilettante blows up. Okay, the dilettante blows up as you go to larger Z, which is lower energy still. And again, that's not a surprise. In the D3 gauge theory, again, the coupling is growing at low energy, and that's reflected in growth of the dilettante. But at some point, the dilettante becomes large, and we can no longer use the 2A string theory to describe things, and we have to lift to M theory, and the D2 geometry eventually goes over to the M2 geometry. And so this provides one Lagrangian description of the M2 brains. In recent years, other ways to flow to the M2 brain have been discovered, but it's just the same gauge theory that we've been talking about, but in one less dimension. In one less dimension, you might think that it confines, because gauge theories in 3 dimensions really want to confine, because of the supersymmetry it can't, and instead, as you go to very low energy, when something is very strong, it gives you a realization of the dual to the M2 brains. You can repeat this for lower dimensional brains and higher dimensional. As you go lower dimensions, you get increment fluctuations and things get more complicated. But I want to say it's a good comment here to correct me, but I think one of the things to do at this level, we could take the D3 brains and compactify one spatial direction. Make it periodic. And if you think about that on the gauge theory side, the authority that it should be now one less dimension, it should be this is 4 dimensional, it should be 3 dimensional. So when you think on the gauge theory side, if we compactify one spatial direction, we should flow to this story on low energy. And indeed on the gravity side, because of the way the metric is taking off at large Z, the direction that you identify becomes smaller and smaller, you need the T-dual, and so you get to the D2 theory. So when I discovered the different dimensions fit together under compactification and T-duality. You can now do this in 2 more dimensions and take the D3s down to D0s. And I think it's fair to say that the Banks et al. Matrix theory in this way is implied by the ADS-CF duality. Would you agree, Tom? Not really. You never agree. Okay, good. It's hard to see the derived from this is the largest theory. Sorry, we're here. Yeah, when one says derived, one makes assumption. One assumption is simply the duality moves compactification, which is a pretty safe one, but for these points, right? So, and also you could go in the other direction. I think it's harder to argue that ADS-CFT follows from matrix theory because there you're looking at extremely low energy sector of the D0 quantum mechanics that captures the supergravity regime. But what's clear is that these two things are cousins of each other. They're not identical. Neither of them is contained with the other, but they're very close cousins of each other. Okay. You can also go up to D4 brains and higher, and I don't want to belabor the point, but you sort of get the same flow in the opposite direction. Just reverse these arrows, and the gauge theory describes that the inverse is because it's not normalizable, and as you go to higher energies, you flow to the D4 geometry, and eventually to the M5 geometry. Anyway. Okay. You're being a very good audience today. Okay, let's go finish. Okay, so turning more to things that, might be useful in considering their own right. I want to say one more thing about the 2 plus 1 gauge theory, which I harp on the fact that ADS-CF duality gives a non-perturbative definition of quantum gravity. And, if you're a stickler, you might say, well, do we really have a good non-perturbative definition of the D equals 4 and equals 4 theory? Strong coupling, you can have a lattice, but it's strongly coupled, you don't have good controls and continuous limit. So I always said, so in fact, when I make that statement, I always have in the back of my mind the D equals 3 gauge theory, which is super normalizable, which means that you can put it on a lattice, preserving gauge invariance goes into that, but without regard for supersymmetry. Because it's normalizable, you can really analytically control how the supersymmetry returns in the continuum limit because everything's getting weak and you have analytic control of that limit. So that's the other reason I like to try out the D2 version of duality. Okay, now, D2s and D6s. So, you can start getting more brains in different directions. And again, I'm focusing on some that are kind of interesting things with the condensed matter connection. So, there's a lot of conformal field theories, even non-supersymmetric conformal field theories in 2 plus 1 dimensions. Suppose you have, let me see what that's equal to. So, suppose you I want to write the Markey equation not for the gauge coupling itself, but for the effective dimensionless coupling, which is that divided by the scale, and they call this gamma. And then you have mu partial mu gamma squared is minus gamma squared plus v naught gamma to the fourth. And so this is just dimensional. This is just saying as you go to high, this is how we get 2 plus 1 dimensions, d equals 3. And so as you go to higher dimensions, gauge couplings get stronger. As you go to lower dimensions, lower higher end, they get weaker, lower end, they get stronger. And now you have a one loop term. And I want to play the game pretending that the one loop term is the only one that matters. And so if v naught is positive, this is 0 at finite gamma. And in fact, as you go to lower energies, gamma stops getting strong and slows to a non-trivial IR fixed point. In many cases, that's how universal it is. And you can think of v naught as being the same data function that you would have had for this matter content d equals 4. And so in particular, we're talking about positive v naught. And so if you have a gauge theory which is infrared free in d equals 4 and reduced to d equals 3, then you get this non-trivial IR fixed point where the dimensional growth of the coupling is balanced by the quantum suppression of it, quantum screening of it. That's the interpretation where everything I just told you was reliable. If you take, so you have some gauge theory, take a large number of matter fields. This is vector large n, just n copies. Then we know that the one loop beta function becomes more and more dominant in the large n limit. The one loop term will survive, and this argument is reliable and gives you weakly coupled fixed points. What happens as you reduce n to that, then you get strong, you get to stronger, more strongly coupled fixed points is less clear and depends on a case-by-case basis. But now we can make a dual version of this story by taking D2 brains lying within so these are D2 brains lying within D6 brains. So the intersection is 2-dimensional. Now you have the D2 brain gauge theory, which is a highly supersymmetric thing, and you have additional matter from the 2-6 strings. And the D2 brain theory by itself gives a polar contribution of 0 to this, because the theta function is 0 due to the high degree of supersymmetry, and then the D6 brains make a positive contribution. And so when the number of 6 brains is much greater than the number of 2 brains, you have a weakly coupled fixed point. In this case, there's enough supersymmetry to guarantee that this survives as you take more 2 brains or less 6 brains and reverse the inequality. And also in this case, you can actually write down the metric of the dual theory. Normally when you have brains of different dimensions that are localized within each other or when they're fully localized and not sphered, you can't. But here you can secretly use the fact that when you lift the D6 brain to M theory, it becomes an orbifold fixed point. And this is actually just some orbifold version, orbifold of the M2 brain metric, which was given in an earlier homework problem. And again, this is a nice starting point for discussing various phase transitions in these 2-dimensional gauge theories. And by the way, there's a regime where this looks like a 2A solution, and there's a regime where it looks like an M theory solution. And it's very similar actually to the ABJM story, it's almost the ABJM story, but it's similar to that aspect of the ABJM story for a different orbifold of the M2 brain. Now, the reason why I'm talking about this is because I told you that I want to make a Fermi liquid. And so, the next natural step would be to turn on a chemical potential and make a density of these 2-6 strings. But in this case, because of the supersymmetry, there's both bosons and fermions there. And when you do a chemical potential, you generally expect that most of the charge go to bosons because the exclusion principle lets them all get into the lowest energy state, so you use fermions. And so I think I can get this way. The last thing I'll probably talk about today is simply to replace the 2 brain with the 8 brain, where this part of the story still goes through, and this part of the story still goes through. But you're less sure about what happens to strong coupling because now there's no supersymmetry. I think supersymmetry is good for one reason. Where the strings have codimension 6, the brains have codimension 6. These strings that stretch between them are all fermionic. And this would seem to be a nice starting point for building a Fermi liquid. You take this brain configuration, take its gravity dual, turn on a chemical potential, let the gravity tell you what happens when you have a density of fermions in 2 plus 1 dimensions coupled to a strong, in this case, non-abelian gauge field. It's a question a lot of people would like very much to know the answer to. So far, there are a number of problems which keep one. So this is the best so far top-down construction of Fermi liquid. And something I don't think any of the later secrets will. It's been successful so far. There are lots of instabilities. The D2 brains can repel each other along the Coulomb branch. The D2 brains can repel with the 8. Which actually has a nice interpretation of chiral symmetry rating. It just means that some fermion bilinear is about the expectation value. Also, the spherical space, the D6 sphere that surrounds the D2 brains can have modes that are actually BF tachyons. Because there's no supersymmetry, what one in many cases finds is the shape modes of the 6th sphere are unstable. It just runs off to something you don't know where. That's really annoying because the shape modes of the 6th sphere correspond to scalar operators, as we've seen, and you don't care about the scalars at all. They're artifacts that come along with duality and artifices, and you care about it. So it's just one of the annoyances of trying to make a top-down construction. Presumably it's possible to stabilize all these things if you work hard enough. And so let's pretend that the system is stable and try to carry out this exercise of turning on. So again, you want to turn on a potential for the gauge field on the A brane, that's a chemical potential for the fermionic strings, and will make a density form. And so recoupling, at least, the effect would be that you would have a 2+ one-dimensional gauge theory coupled to a density of fermions. In the brane picture, you turn on an electric field that runs from the boundary of the space along the A brane down to the horizon. And a nice result by Kuroshige and Parnichev, which says if you now look at fluctuations of the A brane around this, look at the 2-point function, and it looks a little bit like you've got a Fermi surface, in the sense that there are states at omega goes to 0 with finite momentum. And if you think about that, that's not something we ever see in a relativistic system. In a relativistic system, of course, omega is always greater than equal to k. But a Fermi liquid has this distinctive behavior that we can, here's our Fermi C, and we can take a fermion out from here and move it over here. And that has very low cost of energy because we just moved it this far in the radial direction, but it's changed the momentum by a huge amount. And so there's some evidence that this picture knows about this picture, and so one is really building maybe a Fermi C. The problem is that the field line is not obviously really squishy together. The field is getting very large near the horizon, and the calculation really isn't self-consistent because the field back reacts on the space-time geometry. And also the effective option you're using, the direct Lorentz acting for the brane, is breaking down. And I should say, one of the earlier things I mentioned today, you perturb the system, you find that some perturbation grows large at the horizon, and then, as some of the examples, it's not obvious because you have to spend some time figuring out how that resolves itself, what really happens there geometrically. And so far, nobody knows, in some sense, what the effect of the back reaction is on the metric, and whether this picture survives. But it's intriguing. It would be nice to understand better if this is really telling us something about Fermi liquids coupled to strong gauge fields. Yes. The only dimensions are, these dimensions are all spatial at every time, so it's an object, it's an object, but it's not at any time, so that's, you mean the curve will only separate the two or? No, it's 3 together. I wouldn't call it the Higgs phase, because, what's the Higgs? I would just call it the opposite of the growth phase. So, we can talk after if you want to. Okay, so, in 60 seconds, I'll just describe the last item on my list, which is, if we go back to the G equals 3 theory, the G equals 4 theory that we started with, and replace the n equals 4 gauge multiplet with n equals 2 gauge multiplet, which you can do by appropriate overfolding, and then replace that contribution to the beta function with fundamentals, so we can get to n equals 2 theory with n equals 2n sub c. And this has, like n equals 4 theory, a coupling which is continuously adjustable from 0 to infinity. And so you would think that, as you take coupling to infinity, you are morally entitled to find some dual theory which you can calculate, right? That's kind of the rule. If you find something you take it to infinity, you can find a better way to calculate. And what's interesting is that it's something one knows, and I think the only common group on this is my Rastelli collaborators. As you take the coupling to infinity, in the n equals 4 case, the ADS space gets large in string units. But in this case, it seems as though everything stays string scale, which means that although it's only coupled, the anomalous dimensions are only of order 1, and if there's a dual description, it's going to be free rather than supergravity-ish. And so when I told you what the conditions were for the value of the whole, I said strong coupling, but really strong coupling does not imply large anomalous dimensions. It really is, to get a supergravity, you need strong coupling and consequently large anomalous dimensions. So here's another open problem, how you calculated this theory at strong coupling. Maybe it's a good string dual, and that would be a nice thing to understand. Okay, so amazingly, I just about exactly got through my whole outline. I think I wore you all down. But by and large, you've been a great audience. I think I've been 4 Tazzies, and you have been the best audience, the most persistent, and the most questions. So thank you. I'm here all week to give you the lectures if there are more questions. Just one comment. Yes. I think it's a whole screen discussion because this is. About that hand-waving derivation I started with. And this is probably a good thing because there certainly is more to great gauge gravity duality than just taking the near horizon limit of some brains, which is how we always think about it. There's actually more to it than thinking about the gravitons of outside gluons. We still don't know maybe the right way to think about this, but it's there to have more than one way. But essentially, I want to expand on this strong coupling condition, because it's really more than this. Now after the last lecture discussion, I can say really what I mean by strong coupling. So in terms of decreasing length, the picture one has is that there's the ADS scale, and the string scale, and the Planck scale. And actually, these two scales, how far apart they are from each other is so important. There are M theory duals where the string theory has merged into the blank scale, only one scale up there. But the main thing is that there's this big, that emphasized from the start, is that there's this big separation. And so the states you're seeing down here are only the mass, they can only involve the massless string states, the supergravity states. And so in particular have spins less than or equal to 2. So in this framework, and so given the discussion last time about the relation between the mass of the states and their dimensions, it means that in this framework, operators of spin greater than or equal to get large dimensions. And since, so if you look at canonical dimensions, if you get to do the canonical dimensions, you can easily make spin 3, spin 4 operators have a couple fields with few derivatives, which have small canonical dimensions. So that means in particular there are large anomalous, really large anomalous dimensions. And this implies strong coupling, very strong coupling, much greater than 1. So of course, so it's not really true that the arrow inference runs the other way, that very, very strong coupling implies large anomalous dimensions. And so I guess I should say, the more precise condition is this. And so not every theory which seems to have very strong coupling will be very strongly coupled in its narrower sense. This is the precise condition. Now there are theories, there are these Vacilla theories which have infinite families of higher spins, and it's not clear how they fit into the picture. In what sense, are those, in some sense, the Vacilla seems to be shooting for a theory which is not all string theory, and yet which has the power of higher spin. And I can't tell you how this fits into string theory or into SGS duality, but certainly in this kind of framework where it's a normal low-energy effective field theory, this is it's a narrower condition. This is the condition that has a whole. And again, the conjecture that I'd like to make is that this is actually a sufficient condition. And he said, and others have made some progress in proving that by looking at smaller systems that have only a few operators and showing that in this case, you can from this condition derive the use of the gravity dual. Anyway, so good. So this is the real condition. Something. This is the real condition when you satisfy something like this. Now we'll return though to the unless there's. I'm sure there's more questions at some point. But now we'll return to the main thing, which is to start to continue with the duality dictionary. And I want to start with a personal conceit, which is one sometimes hears this mythical statement that the duality is really most definitely formulated as the Euclidean thing, and then the Lorentzian thing is kind of derived from public quotation. I don't know if any of you believe that. I think I've heard this a few times and it always bothers me. So that's why I've emphasized that the basic statement of duality is this. Between operators in the CFT and operators in the book, whatever those are, and the way to get in is that the quantized part of this operator, the quantized part of this operator has the energy of the delta, and so cancel that off, and that's a smooth limited defines an operator in the CFT. The dictionary often starts with some statement about generating functionals, and this is equivalent to that, as we'll derive today, but I like this part in particular as well. So this statement as made is neither Lorentzian or Euclidean. Whatever signature, you can take, it works in both signatures, and it's true in both signatures. Also, when you bring back a step when you're observable to the states, when we say that the duality states a one-for-one mapping of the eigenvalues of the Hamiltonian, that statement is not Euclidean nor Lorentzian. That's the statement at some single time, and the difference between Euclidean and Lorentzian is just whether we evolve forward in time with e to the minus ht or with e to the minus IHT. So it's really just that statement is timeless, and then you build the Euclidean or Lorentzian geometry by evolving from it. Okay, end of that piece. But I'll take you the first population simultaneously in the Kantian and Lorentzian signatures. So now, the simple thing to ask about is the 2-point function. And as I mentioned earlier, of course, this is only constrained by symmetry except for its normalization, but it's a good warm-up for things that have more physics in them. And so according to the dictionary, this is the limit of a Wolf propagator. And this is something one can calculate. Actually, let me. So this is just a Klein-Gordon propagator for a massive field in the S space. I'm not going to write it all out because it's a hypergeometric function. But this thing is, call it g sub delta of c. So there are 2 points in the bulk of a S space, and there's a single with the distance between them, basically the length of the sort of distance between them, and that's all the propagator can depend on. And that distance is a function of this combination, z prime over z squared plus z prime squared plus x minus x prime squared. For some reason, the form of the full hypergeometric form of this thing, and I've mentioned several times, you should go to Eric Coker's Hazy lectures for details. But anyway, this is what's fortunate. Now again, so far it all works in either Euclidean or Lorentzian signature. So to continue that point, in Euclidean signature, what I mean is that x minus x prime squared is x I minus x I prime squared. And in Lorentzian signature, this would be instead the sum from I equals 1 to d minus 1, x I minus x prime I squared, and then plus things I plus epsilon squared, x I naught minus x I naught prime, and so on. So this is just what you get from this if you rotate back to the Lorentzian time method. And I'm doing everything here in terms of Poincare time, and you can also, it all makes sense. Everything here is in the Poincare coordinates again because those are the natural ones for the applications. So all I have to get from here to here is to rotate 90 degrees in the complex plane, actually 90 minus epsilon degrees, because that's how you get Pythagorean correlates and the Chomsky ones. Anyway, so if you solve the Pythagorean equation, the Pythagorean two-point function either Weston signature or in Euclidean signature, you can put the answer in this form. And the only thing that we need to know about the delta, two things. First of all, this C, the way it's been defined, well, you can see that it goes to 0 for separated points, for x not equal to x prime, it goes to 0 as we take the points to the boundary, and g to the delta just then goes to, as you might guess, c to the delta, which gives phi the right boundary condition. And there's some more constants, which I'm going to ask you about. I think it was 0.